to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackling the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
On the Morning Express.
Good morning.
In Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. This is your go-to morning program where we break down the latest stories as reported on the front pages of our dailies. I am Sage Babalola, and of course I'm here to bring you the headlines that is causing quite the conversation. Well, every morning we highlight the top headlines from leading political development. We talk about social issues, amongst other things. Well, as long as it is reported on the front pages of our dailies, best believe that story will be addressed. It will be presented, and also some sort of understanding of that story will be provided, so you're able to form your own opinions when we finally start to take your opinions. Well, we definitely want to hear from you. We want to understand the stories that resonate with you. We want to connect with you and want to see the kind of impacts that these stories have on you. Well, we have a segment for that on the Morning Express called Mainland Focus. We do that all the way from 8:40 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. That's enough time to take your submissions about the stories that we believe are the most significant as reported on the front pages of our dailies. Once again, this is Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. I'm Sage Babalola. I told you the developing story. We sort of take your mind back to when it started. Well, for all of that endeavor, Fᴜʟʟ will be joining us virtually to directions that we should focus on as we try to digest these stories that have been reported. Our dailies, The Guardian, The Punch, and The Vanguard newspaper will be addressed in no particular order on Facebook and on YouTube. You can find us at Mainland 98.3 FM on both platforms. You can also listen via Radio Garden. If you're welcome to the program. Fᴜʟʟ, nice to have you as always.
Yes, good morning, Sage. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, very good.
Over the other, honestly, and I would like us to actually have this conversation very briefly. First of all, congratulations to core members in Nigeria. Your allowance have been increased, maximize that increase, because the cost of living is nothing to write home about right now. So it might seem like a large sum, but by the time you begin to dip your hands into it, you'd realize that you and the people that collected 18,000, there's really no difference between both of you.
I think a lot of these core members are still, taking money from home, still getting spending. It can always help. I knew core members where we served who came back home with school or maybe in a public service environment. But now you have some core members who are working in private organizations who also get some form of payment, and good one for core members who can be prudent with their spending and also maximize before maybe they get employment and all of that. So I think it's a good one. Yes, you understand that the cost of living has gone up, but I think for any core member that can manage through, very, very prudent,
Right. I had about 300,000 naira saved during my NYC days. Honestly, I want to say that I was able to pull that.
I'm sure at that time there are people that would have said that 3,000 was also very small.
Right,
what would have done? I mean, and what have you? Well, I knew couples at our own time that did not pay anything. They were even indebted to because some community people. When they left, they were calling their
but he has more money.
And we have core members in our office too. So maybe we just stop our own allowance.
Fᴜʟʟ.
Just say.
Well, it's a good thing actually. It's a very good thing. At least we've seen an implementation.
Actually, they're going to be happy. 33,000 to 77,000.
It's an increase.
Good one for core members.
It's a very good one. Yes. Well, congratulations once again to all of you, and please, if that NYSC deep sigh. That's all I have to say. Newspaper. We have a story here on the front page of the Punch. It's not necessarily the primary in this case. It started as a very trivial thing, but now it has expanded, and there's been calls to investigate even at the very dark man, Martins Otse, that's his real name, but his pop Fᴜʟʟ Folarin Falana, known as Fᴜʟʟ the bad guy, Femi Falana son, amongst many other individuals. He claims, or he alleges, Falana, his son Fᴜʟʟ have they've written a letter, as Olubumitunji, who has said that there needs to be some sort of comprehensive investigation into the operations of our. I don't know what the story is. It's up to the court if this ever gets to the court. But then, what does this?
Well, let me start with the renowned lawyer Fᴜဃᴜᴜ
Yes.
and his son Fᴜဃᴜ. I think their lawyers are waiting to take legal actions against him. Again, because of this case and the fact that, he's probably not one of those people I would want to watch out for on social media. Probably don't even check what he does. But with this one, he's doing a job that have come out from this revelation. Now, I saw a video that he posted, talking about Fᴜဃᴜ and almost like apologizing and saying that look, he wasn't
Defaming him.
Him, and that look, he was only trying to explain what had been said in the audio he has. Where Bobrisky was saying, he said he was his father. He knows that look, if one day he also runs into trouble, said a whole lot really. But I don't know whether that is substantial enough or sufficient enough. If you're going to be joking with anybody, when it comes to issues like this, you have to stay away from lawyers. Not lawyers who
a family of sand, a family of sand.
But again, we'll see how that goes with Mr. Fᴜဃᴜ and Fᴜဃᴜ. But again, the issue of it's just the way our society is structured. The people of strong influence, whether anybody likes it or not. Bobrisky is a person of strong influence, especially among our youth and teenagers who have access to smartphones and who are very active on social media. So whatever he does, because as a media is as powerful as when you are shot by a gun, when the bullet enters your body, it's called the hypodermic needle. The thing these guys do are the reasons to be. Either we are clear as to what we want to achieve. Their messages are destructive. There's a way to question the moral standards, and now all British of us have denied that look, his voice was doctored. He was not the one that was talking in the video, blah blah blah, and all of that. The very dark man is saying, look, I have evidence. I even have more audio of you. This is not a joke. I know what I'm saying. So I think I've not done enough. Their first statement of they are going to investigate, and then such. And I like what the guy is saying, that look, I'm not the one you should be inviting. I've done what I need to do. I told you I got something you'll be thinking of inviting. In fact, because if it is being said according to the audio he has, which is also said as quite a lot of other evidence, that look, this guy is doing Bob move from the charges and was just limited
spraying of money,
abuse of the guy going to prison. They give him an apartment, a VIP apartment, and he paid for it. And that he never even stepped into the prisons at all. And that has got a lot of people talking as to when the guy came out, he was looking so fresh, big, like, because people have said that, look, no matter what you think, if you go into the Nigerian Correctional Service Center for 6 months, when you come out, your body will tell you, it's just what it is. But the guy came out looking fresh, big, and then he's busy again, disturbing the social media with all manner of ridiculous content. Where there's so much freedom. They are also very they are busy seeing these things, they're taking this information, they see it as a lifestyle, they think it's the norm, they think it's what you should do in life. It is that look, we have two justice systems. It now looks like look, we have two justice systems, one for the rich and one for the poor. So if you have your money, you can evade justice. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
If you have money, you need it. And serve their sentence. They are the only way. It's all messed up. You are talking about the negative effects on all institutions. Whereas we have a lot of strong people but very weak institutions, and that's the reason why someone like the so-called ᴜᴜᴜ can begin to tamper with the justice system if the allegations are true. And there's a lot that has gone down the drain when it comes to our value system as a people.
Well, that story is on page 3, has become. Check page 30 of the Punch and you find details of that story. Well, speaking of charges that border around money, EFCC files fresh 110 billion naira fraud charges. 110 billion naira fraud. The EFCC had initially filed 19 charges against the former Kogi governor along his nephew Ali Bello, Dauda Sulaiman and Abdusalam Hudu for money laundering offences amounting to over 80 billion. However, in the fresh 16 charges dated September 25, a copy was obtained by a correspondent on Wednesday. The total sum of the same money laundering offences rose to 10. First, he had 19 charges bordering around money laundering and was not actually liquid cash. It was used in the purchase of different properties. You can check the report, but the primary thing we're focusing on right now is 19 charges plus an additional 16 charges, all of which border around, especially with the adjournment of the case to the 30th of October.
There's no twist. You like let them bring the additional 100 charges against it. They've still not been able to explain, give a reasonable explanation as to why he was not arrested on that day. In fact, with the explanation they have actually even confirmed that day was that it came with a governor who had immunity and they were holding hands. That the governor had come in with all the security form of anarchy, and so they were just very practical to have allowed him to go. How does that make any sense?
What are you talking about? You're at the EFCC.
You don't understand. Wait now, Sage. So it means that immunity also covers it.
There's no immunity by proxy, Fuad. Or are we missing something?
That's what, read the story now. They say they have been allowed him to go because of that. Why don't you drag the man with immunity who had put himself up for ridicule? Because if we are serious about fighting corruption, you don't understand what I'm saying. The man that has immunity, that did not respect himself. So because of that, you allowed him to go. The man you've been looking for, that you even told Interpol to help, and that's enough explanation for Nigerians to take. You don't understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
So now the next thing you are doing is to bring in more charges. Why don't you add another 1 million charges so that we can begin to? You now say he was only somebody who had immunity. Oh, so immunity is what? So with immunity, it means you can interfere with a legal arrest. It means you don't understand what I'm saying because you have immunity. The stuff is ridiculous now. That's what people are saying. And whether the EFCC likes it or not, they need to begin to question it. I think we better if they are just kept quiet, really. Charges have been brought, against Yahya Bello. The EFCC has not shown enough competence in handling the matter. I'm sorry, that's just my own honest opinion. That because he brought Odudu and because Odudu had immunity, they now allowed him to go. The presidency and the federal government will do. And if we are looking at the justice system in Nigeria, it's only for the poor and vulnerable, the weak. That the rich men, the people. So again, it is what it is. I'm not interested in all those charges because they can continue to amend those charges. All I care. But for the explanation, or just keep quiet.
Well, Fuad, in a very maybe similar but slightly unrelated case, you remember that this particular immunity conversation came up even in the trial of it would lay a very, very terrible precedence because people now know that once you are under immunity, you are allowed to subvert the law, do anything you. Is that the kind of situation we might likely see now in Nigeria?
Well, people have always questioned this immunity clause, for our executives, basically the president, vice president, the governor and the deputy governor. But immunity does not confer on you the right to be reckless and irresponsible, really, or to begin to now, interfere with the process of just all for ridicule. Drag the immunity on the floor for that kind of ridicule in the first place. If I was serious, I would have told them to arrest the man. And then let us even ask ourselves, the policemen guarding Usman of the federal government and the Ministry of Justice, it would have even been not true that he is being checked or is hiding in the government house. Then there's a problem with our justice system and the entire process of getting with the fact that somebody you are declared wanted to or put in his agbada.
Please.
Look, there was a time they broke into the house of Okorocha now.
Yes.
Broke his ceiling, broke the POP to get him arrested. So, with the way Ayabelo showed
me, well, that's on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. You can get
I'm saying, sorry, just 1 minute.
Yes.
I was watching something very realistic. Almost, a failed situation for us on their plenary session. You know what they were talking about? From one was how EFCC was embarrassing Ayabelo.
Is it lie?
The house is so jobless that the only thing they were, I was watching it and I took my time.
are
these people don't have any job.
Your people are literally dying, and that's your concern.
And that, I say that the dedicated. Say we are in trouble.
Is this a
We
problem?
are going nowhere with this type of people.
Do you know the current situation of Kogi State really die because they don't have access to food? They are displaced. The IDP camps there.
If there's a state in the country with the poorest of, in fact, look at the level of infrastructure deficit, the level of misgovernance. Year after year, that's one government. It's an allegation for God's sake. Why is the man hiding away? And that's why the lawyers of the EFC are we are not going to entertain anything again from his lawyers. The man should show up for trial. But his lawyers keep dancing around now. The lawyers are now at the Supreme Court again. So again, because these guys have enough money to throw around.
Well,
but they should have arrested them, shoot the security man for holding it because Ododo was there. And it'd be nice to talk about it now.
On YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. That's how you find us on our stage, Babalola. You just heard the voice of Fᴜʟʟ. Together we're analyzing the stories on the front pages of our dailies, and we're currently talking specifically about the stories on the front pages of the Punch newspaper. Well, moving on, we have cabinet shake-up. Tinubu demands 46 ministers fresh scorecard as lobby bigwigs. Ministers intensify lobbying. Now, the story tells us that ahead of the planned cabinet shake-up by President Bola Tinubu, several ministers and their political godfathers have intensified lobbying. Was confirmed on Sunday's Punch. This happened as presidential aides told the Punch that some ministers have the president. It is a normal thing, but the president will still do what is on his mind for the country, one of the aides have said. In fact, we found him in the United Kingdom.
That one too is a very funny explanation.
So they
you want to stop
that because of the intense lobbying of some of these ministers and their godfather, they advised the president to stay clear. To stay away. So he went to the
side to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
So will not take it serious.
Yeah. Drag
I would have known what to say. You know, drag now, because some ministers and their godfathers.
Well, voila of
ministers, don't voila of the country. So because of the lobbying of godfathers of ministers, leave it at that. But again, whether we like it or not, I think the president needs to jig his cabinet. Something has to happen, really. You know, he has set up he has appointed, there was who was to head the Central Delivery Coordination Unit in the presidency. And so I think they've been doing an evaluation of the performance, and based on that report, which was the performance index report of the ministers, he might be saying those that deserve to retain their job and those that I think are just in hibernating, some of them completely missing in action. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, the box still stops on the desk of the president. Because there are people that will now say that even the president himself is a minister.
Of course. But
what were the achievables and delivering whatever you want to do? Because again, for you to evaluate me, I could have been what the indices, these are Bala Osman and the entire committee had used. But what were they tracking? What were they assessing? What was the index that was used to track and assess this minister? What was used to assess the performance of this minister? But there are some ministers I think has to go. I think some ministers, just want to mention one that should go.
Oh yeah.
And that Keyamo should retain his job. A lot has been happening in the aviation sector.
Yeah,
a lot of progress, has been happening. I also think that if not for the political
interior, the minister of
quite a whole lot. I think the problem with the minister of power has just been his information management unit. Yes, minister of interior, aviation. Some
even I was going to say that
he's been doing relatively well too as a minister. But there are some ministers. I'm sorry. Minister of Blue Machine, and Marine Ocean Economy. No, really. Even Mr. Dilialache with mines. The mines industry ministry, I don't know how well he's been able to do anything with mining, the mining sector.
Well, Fuad.
You understand? I think Minister of Information also has to retain his job. He's been doing some management with some level of calmness and decorum. But again, when it comes to, I think the Minister of Information has also done a good job. But I didn't defend it for them to go.
Fuad, we actually need to pick up the pace a little bit.
All
So
right.
page 2 as to when this rejigging will happen, but it will certainly happen, at least according to Abayo Ononuga. Like I said, page 2 of the Punch is where it says that seeking to deal directly with the Dangote Petroleum Refinery instead of buying the company's premium motor spirit called, and the Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owner Association of Nigeria have said they have commenced that whatever meetings they're going to have with Dangote is not something that the press will be all over. The only time they will come to the press is when they have reached some sort of EC is a competitor. And so it already gives them an unfair advantage if they are the only ones dealing with Dangote. Now, the outcome of this
buy from a fellow market.
Exactly. So I'm buying from a company. So where's the competition in all of this? But optimism about the outcome of this meeting that they're planning with Dangote is what
It's obvious that somewhere, somehow, Dangote's hand has been tied by the NNPCL. The NNPCL that is siding, although anytime the NNPCL issue a statement,
with that they don't have their hands in the pricing of PMS. Anybody that wants to buy can have an agreement with Dangote and decide whatever price they want to.
Just like that's the way they will tell you. There was even a time they told us that they don't have any hand in price. Anybody can. Why are they always so comfortable to just throw let it monopoly in terms of the PMS of Dangote? So you think Ipman guys are they don't know what they are corporations in the country?
Yes.
So, but you have hijacked the process now. You have to be the only one. The same thing they did when they issued that licenses. When they know that, look, these licenses will amount to nothing because this guy will not be able to import Dangote. I think somewhere, somehow, he has his eye tied. Like before, they don't tie his eye.
Well, page 19 is where you find that particular story. Moving on very quickly, we have federal government proposes 30% TED fund allocation for student loan. The Federal Executive Council is proposing a bill that would see 30% of allocation received by the Tertiary Education Fund, labeled Establishment of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, and the Special Advisor to the President on Information and started that how would we ensure sustainable financing for the student loans to funding the student loan scheme?
Well, whatever needs to be done, tertiary education, I think they should just do, because it's not just about what you do. Knowing that the funds are available for students who will want to apply for these loans. You understand? So, and that's why I've always said that look, we should begin, because when we now heard that there was a time that EFCC gave for something, maybe from our taxes or from even FAC or something, a particular percentage should go down. We know that it's just for the student loan. TED fund. There have been questions about how you have said that, look, whatever we have in the TED fund is not even enough, to solve the problem in the tertiary education sector in the country. But it will now take another 30% off it. I'm sure you are going to get reactions from stakeholders that are available to fund the student loan. But I think that somewhere, somehow, we still anyway.
Right. Well, there you have it. At least 30% of funds will ask for foreigners. The Federal for foreigners living in the country to be issued the national identification number. And the FEC on Wednesday also proposed the economy stabilization bill. If you are a foreign student living outside the country, do you get a social security number?
I don't think
I should find out. Do you get an SSN so that we would know if that's a normal thing to do? But they're going to happen now. A foreigner living in Nigeria, you would have a national identification number, and you would also pay. They're proposing it. That's what I'm saying. And then you would also have to pay taxes. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You're working and earning here. Hard by vote buying delay, says NBA. Or they still gave the vote buying potential or allegations of vote buying.
Vote buying. Spent, monies was major thing, and he felt disappointed even with the electorate, who sold their votes. He had thought that people would have votes, and that was what they did, and that was what influenced the outcome of the election substantially. But I think Mr. Olumide should have known. I don't know how he would have thought that, look, people would not sell their votes to start. Again, when you go into the process, this electoral process, because at the end of the day, this is what you're going to get. The same thing will happen in Ondo State. This Ondo election will happen, even though we are hoping not.
Even though. It's on page 2 of the Punch. Ikereekun warns judge has practically read the Riot Act to these individuals and told them that she will sanitize the judiciary.
Every other person has read the same Riot Act. Like when IGPs are appointed, say, these I'll do that. There's no roadblock, no police harassment, and after reading the answer, the same thing continues. So the fact that you read the answer does not change anything because others have done it in the past. We just have to wait to see whether anything will change under her. But that somebody is a cliche, yes, or some of us say that Jews, fantastic,
she climbed up the
career,
very beautifully.
Yeah, and she's done a very wonderful judiciary. Wish her the best of luck.
All right, that is on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. Well, we're going to have to wrap things up by reading the headlines we have on the front pages of our other dailies here. The Vanguard tells us panic in 11 states as release of water from Lagdo Dam begins. State activates measures to mitigate the impact of the flooding. They have set up IDP camps, refusing to relocate from their houses. Well, maybe because they are more afraid of what will happen to them.
And then the forced evacuation. Can there be forced? I'm thinking about again.
The law tells us that if you do anything that is a harm to yourself or another person,
you can be forced.
So you can be forced. So refusing to leave when there is possibility of flooding is harm.
Too late. But if they need to leave, I think people should leave.
Yeah.
Because that Lagdo Dam, we knew what happened about 2 years ago or so. How badly it affected communities and also led to loss of lives and property. So now that the authority found a solution to this problem of Lagdo Dam and other dams really across the country.
Indeed. It's on page 5 of the Vanguard. Well, that's about it. All the other headlines here have actually been addressed. Well, that's all we have for you this morning on Trends in the Papers. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus. It's Open Mic Thursday, so you get to pick the focus of the day. Fᴜʟᴏ, thank you so very much. We'll have you back in about 10 minutes to continue.